Hello, welcome to this podcast entitled, Is This a Psychotherapy Breakthrough? My name is Dr. Nigel McLennan. Are you a health professional, perhaps specializing in mental health? If so, you might recognize this scenario. You spent thousands of hours studying all sorts of psychological problems and learned about hundreds of therapeutic tools. And then, when you started practicing, you found that only 30% of clients made any improvement. You might have thought it was you. You might have thought perhaps you were not applying the techniques properly. I did. That's exactly the scenario I went through. Maybe you looked at the meta-research and found that 30% of clients get better, 30% of clients get worse or stay the same, and 30% of people who would have been clients get better by having conversations with friends or relatives. That is what I found when I did the meta-analysis. Sadly, the meta-analysis over and over again confirms that 30-30-30 split is about right. Now, of course, I'm rounding down here. It's actually 33%, 33%, 33%, but it's just easier to say 30-30-30. What does that mean? It means, and I found this really tough to accept, as many people improve from speaking to friends as from speaking to therapists. I was crestfallen, and if you went through that same reasoning chain, I'm sure you were too. All that study, only to find that the skills I had so expensively learned were no more use than a chat over coffee with a friend. Life goes on. But something good came out of that crestfallen state. I was highly sensitized to what works. So gradually, I started noticing that the clients who improved shared one thing. They had reached the point of self-responsibility. When I had that realization, almost at the same time, thought, this is the elephant in the therapy room. Self-responsibility is the big thing that we've not been talking about in psychotherapy. That sense was reinforced by the further observation that every time a client made progress, it was after they had taken self-responsibility. In fact, after the client reached self-responsibility, almost anything that we did together worked. That was puzzling initially, but eventually I figured out that it's because the client takes self-responsibility that they make it work. So if self-responsibility is the magic moment in therapy, the question then is how? How can I take clients to the point of self-responsibility? That question started an intense period of action research, drawing on the best work of the best thinkers right across the field of psychology, psychiatry, psychotherapy, and so on. And gradually, after much trial and error, faltering steps and many failures, rethinks and refinements, I reached the point where clients can be taken to the point of self-responsibility quickly, consistently, reliably, and most importantly of all, compassionately. It took a long, long time to pull it all together. And if you set out on the same path that I did, I'm sure you will find exactly the same solutions. In fact, now that you know it is possible, I suspect that you will get there much faster than I did. Alternatively, in one weekend, you can learn how to take your clients to the point of self-responsibility. If you want to know more about self-responsibility therapy, if 30% improvement amongst clients is no longer acceptable to you, go to www.selfresponsibilitytherapy.com and fill in the contact form to learn more. I'm Nigel McLennan. Thank you.